Alright y'all, it's AJ. I'm back again, that advocate chick, and I am acting up this month. Why? Because July is National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month, and it's funny to me how there are 2 months on the calendar nationally recognized devoted all to mental health and behavioral wellness. May is Mental Health Month, again nationally recognized, and July is National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. Not that just certain populations are affected by mental illness, certainly that isn't the case, but for there to be 2 months in particular devoted to this crisis, that should be alarming. That should say something. And lately in the news, we've been seeing a whole lot of mother-to-child killings. This young lady in Queens, Nikki Kelly, who murdered her son and, put the picture on Facebook. What I want to do is just to do a response vid to the Mr. Advice show. There's been quite an uproar all over social media, and like I always say, mental illness, having these diagnoses does not give you a pass or excuse you from wrongdoing, but I want to explain what's going on medically. So you have to think, there's Autism Awareness Month, and there's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and ask me, April is Girl Scout Cookie Awareness Month, final answer. But this here, that crisis, that, pesky thing that no one wants to talk about, we all complain about, there are 2 months and some devoted to this, and so many people are living with undiagnosed mental illness, and disproportionately so are minority groups, as they say. I hate that word. Black folks and otherwise. So let's get into this. With this recent one in Queens, the 22-year-old mom, Nikki Kelly, who smothered her 11-month-old son and then posted the picture on Facebook after she got him all dressed up in his Sunday suit, and then said, she didn't want to be a mom anymore, and now the world is in a tizzy. I wanted to do a response vid to Mr. Advice show. Philip is really, really good about bringing stories into the community, and he doesn't have to, do a 200-minute vid for every little thing. I like his structure where he puts the news out there, especially things that a lot of us may not hear about. When I say us, I just mean the general public. And then he always ends his video, what do you all think? Let's have a discussion. That's what is needed. There's so much undiagnosed mental illness in not just the Black community, all communities, but here it is disproportionate. Why? Because we don't like to discuss anything. So it's been said that this is just murder, type of the baby blues excuse, maybe it's depression, maybe it's not depression. Just want to clear up a couple of things. This woman, she murdered her 11-month-old son, and it's not really being said just yet because the story is so recent what is going on in her mental history and her past that we know of. She was living with a roommate, a woman who she was renting the room from, and the child's father was in the picture, but he lived elsewhere. So yeah, that's about that. Let me say this, there's no such thing as just. We have to stop minimizing mental illness and call it what it is. It's just a little bit of baby blues. It's just a little bit of attention seeking. Maybe it's just her feeling a little sad. You know how grandma always says, it's just a bit of sugar. No, grandma, it's diabetes. Let's get it together. Okay, so let me just explain the difference, because there are differences. And I did under the umbrella vid not too long ago, just explaining how this thing breaks down, categories. Not to mention I live with mental illnesses, so I can speak. Anyhow, here's the differences just on depression and major depression, psychosis, postpartum, real quick. All right, depression is where your mood, your state, you have these feelings of sadness, feelings of being down. Your overall mood is kind of either sad or happy, believe it or not. You're feeling things that maybe the other person around you or people that may not know. Your behavior, your thoughts, everything is just affected by you being in this funk. So that's depression. Major depressive disorders, when you have those feelings and they are persistent, and even to include insomnia, feelings of guilt, poor concentration, and thoughts of suicide. That's a difference right there. It's now escalated. Psychosis, however, this is how depression differs from psychosis. Psychosis is where, as they say, you're not in touch with reality. That's where you have delusions, false beliefs about whatever's taking place. Something's going on in your head that everyone else is just not seeing. Or hallucinations. That's when you're seeing and hearing things that are not there. The devil made me do it. Now, there's postpartum depression. Remember how I said it's those feelings of sadness, of guilt, and usually somewhere it's said at least between the first couple of months that the child is born, usually somewhere in month 3 it can develop, and even up to a year. Here's the kicker. Everyone suffers differently. You can't say, well, she's been over that now. The kid is 11 months old. That's really not depression. It's something else. You don't know. Ebony Wilkerson, a couple of months ago, her youngest is 3, and she was pregnant at the time. She still drove a van into the water and tried to kill her kids and herself. The latest update is that she was in isolation in prison, punching herself in the stomach. The woman is not well. That's just not, a little bit of baby blues, as they call postpartum depression, because you're kind of not feeling confident in your abilities to care for another human being because you're just a little apprehensive and nervous about being a new mom. That's not a little of anything. You have escalated from depression to major depressive to outright murderous. Not saying that mental illness gives you a pass. It does not. But I just want to explain, medically speaking, what's going on. And that's the deal. So postpartum psychosis is when, instead of, this 3 months that people are always talking about, when really there is no timeline, it affects everyone differently. It's within the first couple of days. You can be erratic, suicidal, either you're feeling safe or not feeling safe. And heavy emphasis in this case is placed on the baby. How many times have we heard this? Well, I did it to protect him. This Nikki Kelly here, I should have protected him. I'm his mother after she just murdered this child. This is what I mean. There are differences between just feeling a little down, being depressed and having baby blues, and feeling psychotic. There's a difference between postpartum depression and postpartum psychosis. The thing is, no one can really say at which point one tips over into the other. It would be perfect if we can say, hey, it's 6 months and 2 days, that's when this woman's going to be psychotic. It just does not work that way. So I wanted to throw that out there because the one thing that the free world can agree on, there's a lot of undiagnosed mental illnesses running around, especially with Black folks. Y'all know we don't like to talk about anything. Is that me? I'll do it. I've been diagnosed since 2007. They gave me a whole bunch of pills and it's still not working. So, and it's kind of hard to tell what's going on with me, and I don't have to, spit out a kid or be some expert. To me, expert just means that you read more books than I did. To me, the way I see it, you can dope people up with pills and you can give them all kinds of isolation orders. But is that solving the problem? Let's talk about this thing. Try to come up with some proactive measures. You don't know who's suffering with what. Maybe put some actions in place that will make it mandatory for women and even men to have some type of mental health counseling at the onset of pregnancy. Better intervention. We see what doesn't work and we keep doing it. Let's open up and start talking about these things. I said this a couple of months ago. We don't like to talk about stuff. We'll keep saying it. Bam. Not even 6 months, we're seeing it again. Now granted, I know it might seem kind of strange here. If all I heard about this Nikki Kelly case is, well, she killed her kid, she admitted to it, she put it on Facebook, it's murder, I would say the same thing. Until I heard what she posted was, I'm his mother, I'm supposed to protect him, and I should have, been a better mom to him. I'm just overwhelmed. I couldn't handle being a mother. Yeah, if I didn't hear that, I would think, okay, this is just murder. If I didn't hear that before she posted the pic, she dressed him up nice in his Sunday suit, which eerily looked like the funeral pic. Nice Sunday suit, baby sleeping. All right. If I didn't hear from the roommate, she came in and was coddling the baby and holding him and cradling him, the dead child, mind you, I would think this was just murder. We don't understand all of this. Yeah, so like I said, it's hard to tell what's going on with me. It's the ADHD, which is not a mental illness. Not to mention I'm a total ditz. So if you see me tripping over stuff and throwing things in the bed, it's just the black blonde in me. Sorry. So we have Ebony Wilkerson. She said she was fleeing from a domestic violence situation. And there again, emphasis on baby. I was just doing this to protect the kids. Even the rescuer said her eyes looked like she was in a trance, like she was possessed or something. And she just got up and walked away. But I'm thinking, you're protecting the kids from you. totally detached. Okay, now remember a couple of years ago, I think it was what, 2011, you have this lady, LaShonda Armstrong. She backed her van up, what is it with vans? She backed her van up into the Hudson River and did drown her kids, killing herself and all three of them. So my question is it typical for your average prenatal screening to include a behavioral health component, or is there more emphasis on, you know, postpartum depression? What about gestationally? What about when the woman is pregnant? Preconception health, that is major. Is just a couple of questions? I don't know. Try to find out what's going on in your community. I placed a call up to Queens, where this lady's from, Nikki Kelly. And you name it, Corona, Flushing, Jamaica. First of all, people answer your phone. I couldn't get through, and I'm not sure. I'd be very interested in hearing some of the answers to those questions in different parts of the country. Whether it's some low-budget backwoods clinic, you know, you may live in Butt-Tucket, Alabama, or some big city. Maybe there's a private care that offers a few more services than, say, the health department, or what Medicaid will and will not pay for. Maybe it's a private doctor's clinic, a network. Let me know what you find, what resources are out there, and how much of the behavioral health emphasis is there in a lot of your prenatal screenings from beginning to end. Okay, so then we have Siobhan Thomas. Remember that lady who killed her baby, and then I think her son was, what, 2 or something? And then she called 911, and all in the same phone call said, hey, somebody killed my baby. Well, no, they didn't. Well, yes, they did. Okay, it was me. I did it. She was really erratic. Her speech was all over the place, and she admitted to killing her son. The woman decapitated her 2-year-old son and put him in the freezer. That wasn't just something that was a little baby blues or a little this or something she did for attention. It was later discovered that Siobhan was off of medications and had been diagnosed with schizophrenia for a very, very long time. Now we know what's going on. Again, what can we do, especially if we know what the diagnosis is, to better care for women when they find out that they're pregnant, and the families who support us. When I say us, I don't mean, you know, mom, I'm not a mom, but I understand psychiatrically what's going on here, just to better support us in our illness. Okay, so then there's Cassidy Gordon. Cassidy had a lot going on. Cassidy, remember, was that 14-year-old girl who expelled her own baby with a pair of scissors, mind you, picked the baby up out of the toilet, then strangled him and put him in a shoebox and put him in the closet in a house somewhere, saying she didn't know what to do with him. See what I mean? Mind going, you don't know what to do with a baby that, gee, you were responsible for killing. The girl was gone, and she was 14 years old, and of course she was just slandered all throughout the news. Well, she had a promiscuous past, and she's this bad, horrible person, and she knew what she was doing. She was totally depressed. Yeah, but just to take her spotted past, girl was only 14 years old. She had a mama at home. So I'm wondering what was going on there, but you can't beat someone over the head with their reputation as, you know, basically saying that's all they are. And isn't fair, and it's not helping the situation. So, yeah, that one, Cassidy, I think she had gotten life or maybe 25 years. I'm not sure. So I want you guys just to go take a look at that and look at the differences between all of these incidences. They're so unfortunate, and again, yeah, it's so unfortunate. Andrea Yates. Andrea Yates put all the kids, all 5 of them. What, she drowned them in the bathtub, remember? Put them in the bed. Here's the thing. She said, I was trying to protect the kids from going to hell. Satan told me to do it. Satan lives in hell, and he told you to protect the kids from going there by killing them. Detached. It's not there. She's hearing voices. There's things she's believing, like all the others, that people just not getting. Remember, what was it, Dina Schlosser? Dina Schlosser. That was the woman who cut off both of her, I think it was 11-month-old. I don't know what it is with these early years, but hey, it could be well into 2, 3, 4, 5 years. She cut off the right and left arm of her 11-month-old daughter. And when they found her with the knife, she was sitting there singing songs to Jesus. This is what I mean, you know, and there was a comment there also that someone made when Advice put this up. His name is Philip. She said, we're going to have to stop thinking as black folks that we can just pray everything away. Yeah, there is no simple quick fix. Well, lock them up. I've been locked up a whole bunch of times. I'm still diagnosed. Well, that person needs therapy. Yeah, and the other comment was, what was it? There are services out there, and there are 800 numbers, and there are support groups, and it costs money to keep those places open. That's why I mentioned finances a lot. What about insurance? What about the people who don't take Medicaid? What about when you're sitting around talking to imam, pastor, priest, and whoever? It does not work. It's not a substitute for health care. This is what I'm saying. I mean, it's a great start. Even Dr. Phil, and now he's gotten careful with saying, well, I can offer you free therapy. Notice the last couple of seasons, it's 3 months. 3 months. Sometimes it takes 3-4 months to start opening up to people. He does that to get them through the door, to get them comfortable with dealing with all of these problems, and then trying to put them in touch with resources in their own community. It takes more than just a discussion, than just prayer, but this is a good segue here. Open up and, really start dealing with this. So whether it's depression, major depressive disorder, psychosis, postpartum depression, postpartum psychosis, this is where I want to pull this thing together so that we can really try and understand at least what's going on. We can agree to disagree. Mary Beth Tinning, what was that, 85? 1985, she killed all 9 of her kids. All 9 of them, including the one that she adopted. Now, she admitted to 3, and then after the whole mental exam, they convicted her of 1. All 9 of them, that was in 85, it's 2014, and we still have not gotten it. We don't understand about all of these things. So I just wanted to touch on what advice I put up there. Keep doing what you're doing. We need more males out there doing exactly what you're doing. Being concerned fathers, being concerned husbands. Bringing out all of the things out of the stories and whatnot, out of these headlines we may or may not see, or at least not see often. So what you do and what Michael Basin is doing, I was almost floored, but I was really excited to know that Music Soul Child, good God, is a national spokesman for breast cancer awareness. Yeah, both genders, generation gaps. Well, we have to start putting this thing together. Yeah, I mean, really, males, masculine, tough, a living embodiment of hard. Now we're dispelling these myths, and that's great. We have Music doing his thing for breast cancer awareness, I'm sure for his own reasons. Brandon Marshall, remember him? Was it wide receiver, Bears? The point is, he's the spokesman nationally for NAMI, which you'll see, as the source site for a lot of the vids. National Alliance on Mental Illness. He's their poster child, loud and proud, black male for borderline personality disorder. And you wonder why he's been switched around to so many teams. We've got to stop minimizing mental illness and act like, it doesn't exist, or just kind of downplaying and brush it off. It's just a little of this and a little of that. Postpartum psychosis, postpartum depression. Stephen Bowen, who does he play for? Well, he's a spokesman, he and his wife Tiffany, for the March of Dimes. They had a premature baby and had gone through a whole lot of changes dealing with that and getting their child on to wellness. And this is what they do. They speak out, and a black male at that, about health problems you wouldn't ordinarily think, well, that's just what women deal with, or, that's not something to be concerned about every day, on and on. I think you see my point. But all of that to say, and I know you'll hear me say it a lot, it is okay to say I'm not okay. Beyond the cliches, I charge you with finding out in your community what resources that are there for mental health services, for depression, for self-help, self-care. So I wanted to address just a couple of those comments, a lot of the myths and the stereotypes. I know one of the comments said something about attachment. We really don't understand how crucial it is to bond with the baby as early as, immediately, or when you're actually pregnant, or just getting that bond going. Remember when Tamar said that she didn't bond with her son immediately, and people were like, oh, she's just being a diva. That's what's wrong with Tamar. What do you mean? That doesn't make sense, And it's very common. We don't want to understand something simple as this. I know good and darn well half of us are really not going to comprehend how this whole psychosis thing plays into this. How could a mother do this? How could a mother feel this way? We don't know. So, I just wanted to go there with a couple of comments that I saw on the advice channel. And I will end with this. Philip said something that hit the nail on the head. What was it, last Monday before last, on his show about the state of the black family. He said, heck, we don't want to go to the doctor about things we know about, like STDs, much less open up about things that's going on with us. The guilt, the shame, what are people going to think about me? I'm supposed to be strong for my family, and if I'm not, I'm weak. ugh, if we can peel ourselves away from that one, and again, from thinking mental just means crazy, and that's all. This is everyday life things that's going on. Nobody wants to discuss. No one wants to hear of it. And until we do, and try to put programs and monies in the community for us, instead of locking folks up, then we'll keep seeing this. Unless there's a really good intervention strategies, besides doping people up and locking folks up, this is what we're going to keep seeing. So kudos to you, Mr. Advice Show, for doing what you're doing. And I just wanted to tackle a few of the comments that I saw there. So questions for me? I tell you anything you want to know. You know, no one's expert. Like I said, expert to me just means you read more books than I did. And that's all. So I'm going to see y'all in the next video. Wellness wishes. Bye.